Hi, everybody. I think we're going here. I got a great question, Alan. Thanks for the question. The question is about all of these diets that you can see on the internet that will say that it'll take away all your blockages and you'll never have a heart attack and you'll live to 150. So I just have a couple of things for those of you that are trying to navigate this issue. It's hard to know like what's good for you and what's not and what's bad for you. The diet thing is interesting. First off, just so you know, take all of this with a grain of salt. These are just my opinions. I am not an expert in diets by any means, but I do pay attention to, especially the outcome studies with a lot of the diets. And there's been a rage of diets over the last 5 or 10 years. If you remember, there was that low carb diet, for the longest time that has now been investigated a little bit. The Mediterranean diet, the sort of like olive oil and nuts and fish and fresh vegetables, and then there's the typical sort of North American heart healthy diet, low in saturated fats and high in fresh vegetables and whole grains and stuff. So, I pay attention to some of this stuff. And I would say that what I think is the biggest lesson from, the number of years of diets is the same lesson we've learned about all the supplements, that 10 years ago we were giving 400 international units of vitamin E for its antioxidant activity, to everybody who came through cardiac rehab. Everyone in our cardiac rehab programs on 400 international units of vitamin E. And then, a few papers look at that and go, geez, these people's heart attack risk hasn't really changed much on vitamin E. Same thing with omega-3s. It's been interesting that we were huge on omega-3s for a while, and everybody coming through our, if you're looking maybe 10 years ago now, American Heart Association said, you had to have a gram of EPA omega-3s every day. And then that kind of fell by the wash too, because, when they started to look at this and follow people who are at risk of a heart attack, it didn't look like it really changed very much. There's some interesting drugs now. One interesting drug now, this icosapent, that is related. That's interesting, but we're not talking about that, right? Sorry, we're talking about diets. So, but I think it's the same way. I think, number one, what you eat absolutely impacts your risk of having a heart attack, but it does not fundamentally cure your risk of having a heart attack. So you're not, so there is, in my view, in my opinion only, and please feel free to disagree, I don't believe that there is any diet that will unclog or take away the condition in your arteries, the atherosclerosis. So I don't think there's anything that will take it away completely. That said, a good diet that I buy into all the North America. I buy into the Mediterranean diet. I buy into the low saturated fat, fresh vegetables. So I am all for snacking should be with fresh vegetables as much as you can. When you're out and you need a fast food, get the chicken salad with the balsamic vinegar at Dairy Queen or McDonald's or whatever. And try to avoid the burgers and all that kind of stuff. So I think just a typical run-of-the-mill heart healthy diet is probably as good as you can do. And maybe some of them will be a little bit better. But remember, in all of this stuff, and maybe I should do a little video on just this notion of risk, because one of the things we all get caught up in is, if you smoke, you're going to have a heart attack. If you eat crappy meals, if you have greasy burgers, you're going to have a heart attack. It's not true. So it increases your risk of a heart attack. So if you got a whole bunch of people who eat, a crappy diet, and like, so you have 1,000 people and you follow those 1,000 people for 5 years or 10 years on a crappy diet, still probably 20% of them, 20 to 30% of them have a heart attack, and that's a high risk. So there is nothing that gives you a heart attack tomorrow. And there's this, and we know that, smoking, again, not everyone who smokes has a heart attack. So just our notion of risk, I think we've got to be careful about in this business. So I think in the same way, we know that even our most risky behaviors don't cause heart attacks in everyone. For example, smoking. I think on the same way we have to look at it on the other side is all of the heart healthy things we do, all of these risk reductions and supplements and diets, they don't save heart attacks in everyone. And, vis-a-vis, they don't take away all of the blockages inside vessels or the conditions that has vessels. I think the estimates are 85% of Canadian adults, North American adults, anyone in North America, probably the world, has some level of atherosclerotic activity in their vessel. They have some level of that condition. It's, the extent to which it gets inflamed and starts to, expand and maybe rupture to cause a heart attack. So I would say, if you see a diet that makes sense, it's about vegetable based, it's low calorie based, I would say embrace it if it makes sense to you, but just make sure that you approach this with balance. There can't be, in my opinion, there can't be one diet that rises above all other diets in terms of just smashing the protection against heart disease. So I say read all that stuff and actually let me know if you of the interesting stuff you need, because there's I don't know, but I'd be really interested in there's interesting stuff. But a good diet is one that's easy to eat. It's easy to prepare. You're not spending thousands of dollars on it all the time. And there could be 20 ways you could eat. And I think if you just follow just conventional logic and don't get too hung up on it, I think it's good to go. So I hope that helps. Good luck to you. Thanks again for the comment. It's nice to see that somebody watches this anyways. So good luck to you, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.